Happy Year.
Michael, how are you?
Good, you?
I'm here.
I think we'd all rather be outside.
Hi, Rochelle. What's that?
I think we'd all rather be outside.
Well, I just came down from Shazy Lake, and it is gorgeous.
Gorgeous up there.
Oh. Mowed the lawn, took a swim.
This is such a great presentation.
Richard does a good job.
Hi, Councilor Dowdle.
Well, you got to pay your dues.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
Good.
I thought it was stuck. I'm just weak.
Somebody played a trick on
Yeah,
it.
they injected it with a lead or something.
Jacked it up some high.
Oh, I know it feels good not to hit the knees.
Okay, I will call to order this August meeting of the Finance and Budget Committee. Take a look at our agenda. The first item on the agenda is roll call.
Councilor Kelly?
Here.
Councilor Ensel?
Here.
Councilor Armstrong?
Here.
Councilor Dowdle?
Here.
Okay, and the next part of our meeting is the portion in which we invite members of the public to come speak to us about anything on today's agenda. You know, you guys want to come talk to us about your plans. Do you want to do that now, or should we wait for the regular meeting to do it?
We just wanted to make ourselves available if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could actually even do that in the
What is it
work
pertaining?
session if we needed to.
True.
It's the last item I had to put on that for
Yes.
city close.
Just to close the
Okay.
street so that they can bring a generator.
This is one of my last.
That's
Gotcha.
item number 5, I guess. No, number 6 on today's agenda to move to tonight's council meeting.
Very good.
We're going to close Park Avenue between Olivetti Place and Sanborn Avenue on September 6th between 7 and 3:30 to accommodate the delivery of an HTHW generator to the Central
Big
Plant at SUNY. How big is that thing?
75,000, plus $1 million.
Yeah, 75 million BTUs.
It's 30 by 13.
It's 25 feet long by, 13 feet wide.
13.
I don't think it's going to really impact traffic because even with school back in, the high school back in session, most of that traffic is on Prospect and not Olivetti.
We did call the school superintendent. We were asked to, and they said it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's 1 and 2.
Yeah, we'll be doing this again.
It's got to heat my office.
And that's going inside the overhead door at the end. We're gonna,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an overhead door right off Park Ave that we actually have to take off to be able to fit in.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a project.
will that pretty much wrap it up?
That will be 1 of 2. Number 2 won't come in until March.
Okay.
Probably will come March.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, Sue?
Sue Moore. I just wanted to mention now that it's budget time, just want to reiterate that I hope that you're going to be trying really, really hard to stay under the tax cap this year since we've gone over the last 2 years. And the other thing was that report you got from the state. I don't know if anybody's looked at it lately. It would probably be a good idea to read that over again from cover to cover because there's still a lot of things in there that haven't been explored, I don't believe. And there's some potential big savings in there, and the state's offering money for some of these things. So I just hope you guys take a look at that.
Are you talking about the financial restructuring board report?
The comprehensive review,
Comprehensive
FRB,
review.
Yeah.
FRB.
FRB,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sue. I think that's good advice.
It's good to have people involved and engaged and urging us on. Right?
What do you say, Counselor?
Any other public comments?
It's law.
Okay, we'll go on to item number 2 on the agenda. That is reports from department representatives and discussion with counselors. So, Mr. Marks, the floor is yours. So, if you'd like, I can project that on the screen here. It's all set up and ready to go. You go ahead and speak.
You be at the mic and he'll be at the computer.
So did everybody get the report?
Yes,
Yes.
You sure?
I read it.
Oh,
Is there a quiz?
Richard, I actually just have
you're looking at me.
maybe, not so much
I
for,
like the idea of starting with questions, because it's a bunch of numbers and we've all had a chance to look at it, so what are the questions?
the question is for future reports, where under the actual, you have the expenditure, revenue, and net results. For budget, can we also have net results, make a 6th column, expenditure, revenue, net results for, against the budget?
Yeah, that's the, okay. We can do that.
Just so,
But he represents that on the next slide, doesn't he?
no,
No?
No,
So,
no, I don't do the net results on the budget.
right.
On the budget,
on the
gotcha.
budget side.
Okay.
The general fund would be 811,000.
Right, no, I
Forecasted as conservative.
it
but-
just saves me from going into my calculator.
All right. I'll have it in there for both of them, last year and this year.
Thank you.
So we're generally ahead of last year. It would make sense on the revenue side for the general fund, because revenues for property taxes should be up 4.35%, but also sales taxes are up 5.4%, which is good news. The net difference between, and I don't think Mr. Kelly has the net results for 2017 up there.
I do.
You do?
I can get those for you.
I think it was 834,000. You have it, you go forward on your slides.
I do. Well, that's repeated what we just looked at.
Right.
That also. But,
Yeah, the surplus this year versus last year is $834,000 more, or more to the good. So it's early yet. You have to keep that in mind. And this is just through July. And the first 2 periods in August for billing for healthcare, we go back to $350,000 worth of charges. It's 2 weeks, unfortunately, for some high cost claimants. So I mean, these kind of things come and go.
Okay.
But right away, as good as this looks, the very next 2 weeks, bang, you're in Department of Healthcare. So,
Can we go back to the first slide, please?
sure.
Okay. The revenues and expenditures. So, okay.
That one?
Well, just raise it up a bit. I want the,
The numbers, right?
yep, the numbers.
Oh,
Yep.
There you go.
read it.
There, that's fine. That's good.
Oh, that's okay, that's what you want, okay.
So I'm looking at the actual revenues in the general. And 3 months ago, because I'm looking at every 3 months, it's gone up over $11 million. And that's based on the property taxes and the sales taxes.
Yes, but mostly property taxes.
It's mostly the property taxes.
Property taxes are collected between March and July.
July, yes.
Anybody who doesn't pay by that date is starting to collect interest, and they're going to go to the delinquency list. But that's when the lion's share of the revenue comes in. And that's why it was great this time of year. But for the rest of the year, there's not a lot of property taxes coming in.
Okay.
There will be sales taxes, yes.
And expenditures in the same time frame under actual were just over 5 million 3 months ago, and now they're almost 6.5 million more. And those expenditures are derived from a variety of
They'd be what, October,
April, May, June, and July.
June, July, since March. It's just your general expenditures.
Okay.
For payroll, for
Per quarter.
benefits.
Because it's just about doubled, and we were at
Yep.
5.2 million 3 months ago. So 3 months ago, okay.
Yeah. There's overtimes, a lot of expenditures kick in the summertime that we don't have the rest of your seasonal employees. The Parks area, DPW area,
Right.
rec complex area, you have those. The recreation complex,
Right.
going back to those numbers,
I put up this slide because I'd like for everyone to learn to get in the habit of looking at where the expenditures and revenues are coming from. And you have an item, line by line description that you can actually see for yourself where the money's being spent.
I don't see, maybe you can point out, how is the beach tracking this year compared to last year?
Well,
well,
the chart shows it.
when you go back to the numbers, the global numbers that you had up on the second slide, the first slide. See the rec complex is actually 34,827 negative.
Right.
And of course, their expenditures are 516,000 this year, but compared to last year, they were 606,000. Now, the real difference there is the revenue's down from 671 last year to 481 this year. But most of that was being supported by the general fund.
Right.
We
Took the
reduced
money
the
out and took the-
contribution to the rec complex dramatically this year. So what they're doing is they're trying hard to stay within that budget, but they're doing a pretty good job of it at this point. Some of their revenue wasn't in at this point in time for the month of July, which was remarkably about $34,000, and mostly from the marina. So that would be about break even.
Okay.
The reason their numbers drag is because most of it is credit card sales and reconciliation that doesn't happen until a couple of days into the next month, confirming we have it and collected and posted.
Okay, but what about, do we have any breakdown of the actual beach?
I don't have that separately here, but as Mike was showing you, you can look at the high points of that on this page here. You can see where the rec complex is beach, right up there.
Can you blow that up a little bit, Mike?
Make it larger?
Yeah, if you could, please.
I think so.
Thank you.
So those are the beach
I understand anecdotally that
expenditures, okay? The thing that's on the previous page, though, is your culture and recreation revenues. They're all combined, so it doesn't show the beach separate. If you go back one page. These are all the rec complex revenues here. So you have to look at the individual report to break out what the beach revenue is, but I can send that to you.
Thank you.
I understand
So the next
that
page,
at this
you have
point,
expenditures for the beach itself.
I understand at this point they're ahead of what they were for the entire period last year.
For the same
Already.
time, or?
No, just
For
for
the
this
full
year to
season?
date is already ahead of the full season
Last
last year,
year.
from what I heard the other day.
How much are we spending on testing the water out at the beach? Do we know? We were doing it daily last year.
I think we still are. I don't have those details.
I believe they do it weekly, the water testing, but I would have to get the costs.
I've seen the invoices, but I don't have that off the top of my head. I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So I'm sure that comes into play.
But looking at these numbers for the end of July, the rec complex beach, you see it's budgeted for 76,600.
Right.
We're only at 29,000 to date, so they're holding their expenses down. But I'll send you the details of the beach. Well, actually, the rec complex, where you see the line by line and the regular budget.
Thank you.
Okay. I ran just a general fund, well, actually, no, I ran the departmental expenses for the areas cut last year versus where they are this year. And for the benefits that applied to those particular cost centers, in the general fund and the very complex fund, we're ahead by $163,000 at the end of July.
And that's solely on benefits.
That's just the benefits that would apply to, the personnel.
Was it 163?
163. Now, we gotta keep in mind that the first 2 weeks of August, we got whacked hard with healthcare, so that's gonna have an impact on that. Now, the rest of the department's expenses, which run from finance assessment, human resources, all the way down through rec complex admin, are still $245,000 ahead of last year at this time. And when you look at the reports, you have to just take out a couple of items in the assessment section. Their whole year of their cost for this year is in there with an encumbrance. So if you
Say
factor
that
out
again, sorry.
their entire year of expense for assessment, you can go from the county is in there for contract services. So you have to take out 5 months of that to be consistent year-over-year comparison. And in the CD contract services, community development contract services, you have to take out all of the purchase orders being written right now for the DRI. They don't really apply to normal operations because they're going to be reimbursed eventually, but we're having to advance those funds from somewhere, so that's what we're carrying. So taking adjustments for those things and making it consistent, like I said, comparing apples to apples, let's say, this year versus last year, we're $245,278 still for the departments that were reorganized versus where they are this year. In the general fund itself,
Yes.
like I said, we had 4.35% more in revenue for sales, property taxes, because we knew that it's going to happen with the tax increase. We do have 5.4% more in sales taxes. That's a benefit. Overall, bottom line, with everything included, even the stuff that we've thrown in for the DRI, the expenses are going down 2.8%, total revenues up 4.62%, but the net difference in the surplus this year, 7 months, compared to last year, 7 months, is for 28% higher in the surplus.
Can you give those percentages again?
Sure.
Expenditures, 4.2.
4.62 higher. Expenditures are 2.08% lower. Revenues 4.62 higher. 27.62% higher on the total surplus.
I'll send you this report tomorrow too.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was revenue, 2.6? I'm sorry.
4.62 higher.
Okay, and expense was
2.08 lower. 2.08 sounds like a low number, but that's all of everything we're doing right now, even the stuff we're supposed to be reimbursed for in the DRI, that's factoring the numbers up, and encumbrances that are covering year-to-date costs, and not only year-to-date, but for the rest of the costs. So the results look very favorable.
One thing that excites me and why I included it in this slide is that our surplus last month, midway through the year, was $790,000 better than the previous year. This month, a month later, we're $834,000 to the good, or a difference of over $40,000. So I find that encouraging because I'm hopeful that we could be looking at $1 million surplus by the end of the year. And that is a huge testimonial to all of the hard work that everyone's done to reduce expenses and increase revenue. So I think, we certainly have a lot of reason for caution yet, but things are on the upswing. I'm very happy and very positive about where we're going.
Any questions about anything?
I'll finish the rest of my slideshow. We don't have a healthcare update. We did not hear from our consultants on that issue, so we'll table that next week. Mayor's budget is what I'd like to talk about next. I just want the council to be aware that it's coming our way at the end of this month. Our task, as you know, is to take the mayor's budget and see if we can improve on it. And I'd like to hear the council's ideas on what we can do with budget hearings this year to make them as productive and as meaningful as possible. One thing I was thinking about, and you tell me what you think, is we have ourselves divided into these committees. Perhaps each committee can cover the departments that they are sort of in charge of, and that would mean that you would meet with those department heads and get their input and come back to the council and report on that. Does that sound
Makes
attractive
sense.
to you? Okay. Mayor, does that sound like something we
Sure, and as I explained earlier too, I'm going to meet with the functional areas as well, the various conglomerations of departments, and if the counselors in charge of those committees would like to join me for those meetings, that'd be probably pretty helpful as well, if your
Yes, it
schedules
would.
permit.
It would. Okay. Would you let us know when you're going to do that?
There you go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Or any other ideas for how we proceed?
Well, I mean, I think what you put forward is a really good idea in terms of what the council does, but what I would like to say in advance is extend appreciation for all the work that you'll do to deliver a reasonable budget that we won't have to revolutionize. So, yeah, and I know you're committed to that, so I appreciate it.
Okay. You know, Mayor Reed said something in a recent press conference that I thought was pretty interesting. He said, I didn't get elected to oversee the orderly demise of our city. He got elected to grow our city. And that's something very exciting. I think for many years I've been in the mindset that, wow, I don't know what we can do to stop the slide. But the mayor here has presented some great ideas to us, and we also have come up with our own solutions. So I would say let's continue the momentum, keep the excitement going about where our city's going. We have lots of reasons to be positive and to be optimistic. So that's going to be my approach going forward. I'm not here to oversee the demise of our city. I'm here to see us grow and prosper. Okay, I chose this picture, by the way, because it shows two of our counselors collaborating. It shows one of our counselors deep in thought over the day's paperwork.
Or sleeping.
Mike and Dale are probably talking about the weather. And Rochelle's also hard at work.
I'm ready to go.
So it's a good picture, and that's how I'd like to see us operate during the budget season coming up. Thanks, everyone. Now, one more slide, then we're done.
When will we get the update on the healthcare costs?
Probably next week.
Okay. And they gonna present to us, or?
Probably send a report.
Yeah, okay.
You know, the forecast for next year, maybe stand this year.
All right.
You need that for the budget.
When we talked about our 5-year budget plan, we came up with these assumptions, and I wanted to review them with you before we go into the budget season this year. I won't read them, you can read them yourself, and I think I sent this slideshow to you, so let's keep those in mind as we go forward. And if anybody has any changes to those assumptions, or if you'd like to add additional assumptions, we certainly can do that also.
I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in, and I may get booed off of the floor here, but I've been driving on the smooth, wonderful new roads we have. I'm so proud of them. My car appreciates them so much. And I think I tossed off an idea. Nobody paid attention, nobody, and I didn't even think of it until I hit the road. I feel like the idea of only paving what we can afford is a really prudent idea. However, I'm wondering if the public might be in favor of a little bit more aggressive plan and be willing to vote on it in a bond issue. Or, I would need to speak to the mayor and the corporate council. Is that an option?
It is, our theory, and I'll give you a little bit of an update of the two roads, is, the first road came in under budget. The second road, they actually ended up doing 400 feet more than they originally planned, and even then, it still came in on budget. And they tried to accumulate and save a little bit of each road to see if they can do a little bit more projects. So they're looking at upwards of 3 miles of roads in a 12-month period. If you take a 20-year rotation, that's 60 miles of roads every 20 years. So with that kind of scale that they're doing this year, we can stay on that rotation where every road is getting done once every 20 years if they can keep doing it
This way, but there will be times that there's going to need to be
Infrastructure.
sewer and
There is.
Curbing.
Yep.
water.
Every 80 or 100 years, you have to do a big one, and we are doing that too on Main Road this year, for instance. But based on the way they're doing it, and I don't know if any of you got a chance to go and take a look at the road building, Mike Bissett, he's an expert at this. He's been doing this for years in other capacities, so he's brought that skill to the city. The paving crew, the actual paving crew, they're pretty skilled individuals. On Prospect, we used Luck Brothers. This time we used a company out of somewhere towards St. Lawrence County, if I recall. And they're in, do the work in a day, and they're out. They can do it that quickly because they remarked afterwards, when they do jobs, almost nobody is as prepared as the city has been, and that's really to the credit of the DPW crew. That's what allows them to keep the price down, because these crews can come in and get it all done because we've done all the prep work and everything. So really this is an entirely new system, much to the credit of the DPW crew and the superintendent and deputy superintendent. And I estimate it's allowing us to do things with about 3 times the cost effectiveness as before. So I'd like to see, keep putting those couple $1 million into road building every year. And let's see if we can really keep doing 3 miles of road a year.
And most of it's CHIPS money.
Yeah, most of it isn't paid for by the taxpayers, that's right. And there's a backlog of CHIPS money because we weren't doing the roads that we said we were going to be doing every year. So let's see for a couple of years whether we can keep at this pace and can afford to do it and need to accelerate it. But I think it's pretty promising what I'm seeing so far. And of course, the quality of the work is just absolutely fantastic.
It is, but I'm thinking of how, in terms of road maintenance, we've fallen behind, and I feel that there might be some wisdom in accelerating that schedule, even if it were to be just setting aside more money in the capital budget. So just think about it.
We bonded Main Road, right?
Yeah, I mean, part
So
of it
that's-
is,
that's
that
sort of
part
what
of it
you're
comes
talking
from,
about.
that comes from water and sewer as well. Yeah.
So maybe going forward, those kinds of big projects can be bonded, like you're suggesting, and then keep up that routine maintenance every year.
Yeah.
We can do both,
Okay.
I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But your point's well taken. This is capital plan time of year as well, as we can produce the budget. And I think you're saying making sure we have a good, strong priority on actual road building and accomplishing the road building, not just make a plan and don't complete it.
Correct. Make sure we execute.
Do what we say we're going to do every year, execute it well.
Yeah, so we've really progressed in that regard. I agree.
In the interest of ending this meeting. I'd like to suggest that we just take the 6 resolutions to go to the council agenda this evening. And if no one has any objections, I'd like to move that we approve those now.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next piece of our meeting is old business. Anyone like to bring up any old business? Any new business? Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
This is now a time for our work session where we can have a little bit of extra time to discuss any items on the agenda you'd like to pull out. We also,
Carrie from PHS is here, and then Paul Stevens is here, and then also Chris's. These were questions.
Okay. Perfect.
The PHS item is tabled, so.
That's, have we heard from PHS?
Yeah, Carrie's here.
Oh, okay.
and there is a matter for a short executive committee if you'd entertain it on an issue of real property acquisition for which public discussion would affect the value.
Yeah, and I would like to make an inquiry about a matter regarding litigation. some current litigation.
Couldn't hear you. Was
A
there
matter
an-
regarding some current litigation.
Name the parties for that. If it's pending litigation, yeah.
If it's pending litigation, you'd have to name the parties.
Oh,
Or just a general sense of what litigation.
okay. Let me get your advice first.
Sure.
All right. Case. Litigation involving the fire department.
Okay, would you like to make a motion then for both of those items?
Yes, I'd like to move that we go into executive session.
As stated, and a second.
Yes, as stated.
Oh, it's there, yep.
Councilor Kelly? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Oh, cool.
I'm not doing anything else. I'm just kidding.
What'd you say?
I'm not doing anything else.
We come down and some question numbers.
No. Told you I'm not good at that.
We can fix that.
Yeah.
You need that.
Which proposals partial to, we don't want to leave that as partial one for reason. No, I don't want that for construction. So there's 3 options. trying to get hours on it, this, I mean, there's a chairperson, so that will. Some people will be arguing about that, for sure.
And not slide into the Friday.
You don't see the insurance, it's half a cent, it's super broad. Yes. Even that, we're running, we're moving along. So they've already given them. So then, we're not gonna do too much on that one end of that property. Just give it up.
Unless you're making that entrance over there.
As they did.
Said you're making an entrance over there. I know, sorry.
We're gonna, we're 3 of ours, 5 of them. Water.
Carrie, you're getting ready to go back to school.
Basically already back. No. Ready, just got our house ready, it's all finished, so.
Okay, so
Actually, sad, but I don't.
You'll be.
For sure.
Yeah.
I have all the same students I had last year. My students are bridging with me. So, it'll be nice.
I'm assuming.
It is. Yeah. I lock it if we see.
Oh, no.
It's really loud. Especially I like it tonight.
I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, he's got a 5-hour ride.
Yeah. I was on vacation. So I drove up, I went to Charles Bell, drove up to Southern Maryland. My husband was like, there you go, driving, I'm not driving it for another year.
Yeah.
Traffic, rain, this is the worst part. You never have that happen. It's a tough to get ready, you know, as you're going out of your state, but it goes to this, I was like, Virginia, where, state, what is Yeah. Well, we were, it's, our new place, and it's where we're going. And then, so we went to some official place, she's the representative, so left. And they had flash flooding, and one of the roads was on the other side, you could see, and one of the little roads was flat, they were all backed up, they couldn't go anywhere. And they were just, it's just like the same thing, her house, she had a great house, so they like, they're not being, hey, what's up? So we lost this thing. So we did say, she did this on Saturday, for coming up from Charleston, Washington, Saturday. Gosh, I know. So the other thing was, watch out. I'm all cut over, like 81 or something.
That's what a lot of our people do, is just go around, guaranteed trucks, and that's it. You know?
Yeah, 81 is a lot of trucks, but it's just
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what I would say. I don't know. Yeah, on Saturday. That's what I thought.
As soon as I get between Virginia and Colorado, I was like, oh no. Then I was too late. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Come up, so I could see area. Come up.
Oh, sorry.
Returning from an executive session where we discussed a matter of purchase of real property for public discussion would affect its value, and an update on the litigation, city versus the firefighters union.
No action.
No action taken in either item. Any other items from the agenda that you'd like to have some extended time to discuss?
Can I, maybe the representative from the high school? One of the, in the past, one of the...
Would you come up to the podium,
Please.
because then we can hear you, or the
I'm sorry,
video audience can hear
your
you.
name?
Carrie Bednarz.
Okay, Carrie. One of the issues that has come up in the past that we've heard from parents is by only closing down one side of the street or giving permission on one side of the street, that there were some close calls with cars, and some parents were concerned about their children's safety going up Broad Street and up Ruger Street with traffic on one side. Excuse me. So I guess my question to you is, do you have any plans to kind of provide more safety, or have marshals, maybe adult marshals, so that the students don't stray?
Absolutely. So safety is a major concern of us, especially during this parade. You know, we're bringing the community together for this homecoming event. My role is as co-advisors to plan these. My other co-advisor is in Morocco right now. One of us is in the front of the parade and one of us is in the back. We also have parents that are welcome to walk. We have teachers welcome to walk. We have floats. Teachers are surrounded by the floats. We have advisors officers. We also have Plattsburgh City Police that are located, at the front of the parade, the back of the parade, and then the intersection at Broad and Hoover. To address some of those parent concerns, we can absolutely station more teachers or representatives from our school to ensure that safety. Absolutely.
Have you contacted the college, university police at all?
I personally have not, no.
You may want to and see if there's anything that they can possibly lend to help.
I have a suggestion for you. Why not enlist some parade marshals? And that would be parents who might wear an armband or a special colored shirt or something
A
to.
reflective vest.
A reflective vest would be very nice to let the students know, that someone's there to marshal them. And those people could march in the parade close to the center line, and just make sure none of the kids stray into the other lane or something like that.
Absolutely.
Approximately how long, I know it doesn't take, about a half hour or so, the actual link to the,
I would say about a half hour from Stafford to the high school. We have to position several floats, all of the classes, the representatives. So I believe we were a little bit late last year, so maybe around 12:15, just getting everybody in order. But I believe it takes roughly 30 minutes.
and do you know, will it be using the north or south side of Broad and Ruger?
My understanding it will be the north side. That be going up towards, yes. And I believe it talks about us entering Adirondack Lane, and then going on to Clifford, we just turn right onto Clifford.
Right.
And then I think it gets about it.
Have you done this before?
This is my second year as co-advisor of the Student Association, so this will be my second year organizing the parade.
How many kids marched last year?
We had a really great turnout last year. We were able to have students from all of our schools in the district represented. I can't remember what our theme was, I think TV shows. We probably had at minimum 20 from each school. The high school was a little bit more because they designed the floats. Middle school a little bit more, but we don't have as many elementary students as we do middle school and high school students.
Sounds like fun.
It's a lot of fun. Brings the
Chief
community
Ritter, do you
together.
have any concerns or?
I don't, I spoke with her prior.
So you'll be traveling, you said the north side, so the north side's for going up Broad Street?
Going up
is
Broad
the
and
right,
up
So you'd
Ruger.
have to cross Broad Street to go to Ruger then, right?
Correct.
So there would be, going up Broad Street, then one lane, I presume the right-hand lane would still be open to traffic. And so you would be confined to essentially one lane on Broad?
Yes.
Okay.
So Broad Street would have to be closed while the parade's crossing Broad Street to get onto Ruger Street.
Correct. And I believe we had officers stationed there last year.
Think of it as like a similar procession, where, like a funeral procession where a row of cars is leading from one place to another. It just requires officer stationed in a limited time at the intersection until it passes through. It's usually pretty orderly.
Yeah, I kind of like Mike's idea about having marshals, especially coming up Broad Street where you're confined to one lane, having adults on both sides coming up just to kind of, not that I suspect cars, or at least I hope wouldn't go speeding by, but that there would at least be some adult supervision to,
I think it,
having had raised some teenagers, I know how they can tend to wander and
yeah.
stray.
I I think it would allay the fears of those parents who came and spoke to us last year about it. You know, yes, measures were taken to make it safer.
Absolutely, and parents are always welcome to walk in the parade with their children, with floats. We do have several teachers from every building represented as well, but I will absolutely encourage the placement of marshals with the reflective vests, and I'll contact Plattsburgh City, the Peace State, I'm sorry, to see if we can.
So I guess, Dean, I have a question for you. When this comes up for a vote, can we make a friendly amendment to the resolution saying that there will be marshals, adult marshals on both sides
Certainly.
for approval?
And interspersed along
Right.
the length of the
The parade
procession.
route, yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a minute so that the representatives of all states can answer questions?
Sure.
You want to come up to the podium? Yeah, it's for the video audience.
Brian Wilson, Allstate Construction Project Manager. I'm here at the Pizzeria, our site super. Just for the closure on Park Ave, September 6th, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. If you have any questions, we have an answer.
We did ask earlier that, about the size of it, and you want to reiterate that for the public that
It's
listens
about
in?
25 feet long by about 13 feet wide, roughly 14 feet tall, not counting the height of the truck it's going to come on. So it's pretty sizable.
Have the residents been notified?
Not yet. If it's required, we'll certainly do that, whatever notification.
I just think it's good
necessary.
practice.
Okay. Certified mail, what's your typical that's?
Flyer.
Flyer, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem.
And Beth also made sure that the school system was aware of this as well in case it
Yeah,
affected
I
any.
called over to the superintendent today at the request. They said it shouldn't be a problem.
Good. Covering all your bases. Yeah,
What do you guys need?
well,
Wish I could be there to watch.
Well,
It's
if
gonna
you
be
miss it in
big, isn't
September,
it?
We'll do it again in March for you.
just take a drive down Route
Repeat
11.
performance.
I'm sure somebody's going to videotape this.
I think actually someone from our office will be there to video.
Yeah, we will,
So,
absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Any
great.
further questions? Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for
Thank
taking
you.
your trip up.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no
Thank you,
problem.
guys.
I have to take off. You'll be here if there's anything else you need.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got another half minute left if there's any other, please, Councilor Dowdle.
Item 7C, we do have a representative from NYSEG. If anybody has any questions with the request that the mayor is authorized to sign the access agreement with NYSEG with respect to the city of Plattsburgh property. Anybody has any questions about that?
We had a telephone conversation a couple of weeks ago with NYSEG, but maybe you could just bring everybody up to speed. They may not.
My name's Isaac Giroux. I'm with New York State Electric and Gas Corporation.
Isaac Giroux.
Yeah.
Hi, Isaac.
As most people are aware, there was a manufactured gas plant on the Saranac River many years ago. There has been significant steps from 2010 forward to remedy issues, environmental issues that have resulted because of that. The DEC has come to us and said that they believe that some of the toxins may have washed down the Saranac River and as far as Cumberland Bay. So to move forward, we would like to start with soil samples at the water plant, as most of the soil that built that came from washout from our manufactured gas plant. So this resolution is to allow soil samples of various depths to see what, if anything, is present there, so that we can decide how to move forward with the city to remedy this.
Good.
Isaac, do you have any idea how much longer this project's gonna last? I guess you won't know until after you do these soil samples, but.
Yes, and then after this, we will be moving further down and into Cumberland Bay. It's gonna take years.
Years.
Yeah,
How many-
the government is involved. So.
Okay.
Are you going to remain at that site on Saranac Street then for that whole time?
I'm not an attorney, I can't answer that.
Okay. That's an attorney type question?
It's something that could get me in trouble, so I would say yes, probably.
Okay. Okay.
Everything's an attorney type
That's
question.
true.
Correct.
My ward, the ward that I represent is across the river from your facility there. And people ask me all the time, how much longer are they gonna be there? I wish I had an answer for
A
them.
political answer would be for the foreseeable future.
Okay, I'll take that
But it's
under
for
advisement.
a good cause to clean up the river.
Absolutely.
It's
So-
important that we do that.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of issues environmentally from several manufacturing issues in the past, from
Yes.
decades and decades ago. So NYSEG is willing and able to put forth the effort to clean this up.
So this agreement is only for testing and core sampling currently, correct?
Correct.
Because there will be need for you, from what I understand, next year will be a planning year. The year after will actually be remediation between the two bridges for 1 to 2 years, and then into the mouth. And then after that, there's another phase beyond the mouth.
Into the bay. Correct.
That could take a number of years. And there's issues of where they're going to be staging all this work. So far, I think you're inclined to stage all the work in your existing NYSEG site that you were asking about. Break the river up into 2 halves and have flow of water only in 1 half, and vehicles going back and forth, moving equipment up and down, and contamination items to be cleaned for another few years. Another scenario is to do more of that remediation down near the mouth of the river on the former MLD site, and that's been somewhat discussed. But the complication we need to work with is at the same time we're developing the river for the DRI and remediating the MLD site and moving that site, getting hopefully development down here. We need to really work closely to make sure that what you do isn't going to set back our DRI efforts for a few
We
years.
are not going to interfere with anything you're doing. Should there be something significant found on the property, there are several technologies available that we can remediate this soil without impacting the city.
So I'm sure we'll be having lots of discussions for a number of years on this anyway. But this is just for
Hopefully
the
long
soil
enough I can
sampling.
retire.
There you are.
Any other questions or concerns? Well, thank you very much for attending,
you.
and we'll be
Good to see you,
treating this
Isaac.
item in just a few minutes. With your indulgence, then we can begin the meeting and then resume the discussion. We'll begin the meeting with tonight for the Common Council with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Councilor Armstrong?
Here.
Councilor Kelly?
Here.
Councilor Dowdle?
Here.
Councilor Entzel?
Here.
Councilor McFarland?
Yeah.
Councilor Kretzer?
Just a very brief report. You know, we had the Watercross jet ski racing group come to town just a couple of weeks ago, and they liked us so much that they may actually be becoming again the weekend of the 26th, not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after, for what I think is the national competition. They were to locate in Watkins Glen, but Watkins Glen and everywhere else in the state apparently been having a huge amount of rain and flooding issues, and here we're dry and drought and having the best summer ever, so they may actually return, and we'll be, of course, ready for them as seeing how that could be accommodated. And of course, our attitude is always to try to figure out how to bring more of these events to this region. So Matt's been working really hard on that. He's also been continuing on with Ethan's work on due deliberation with regard to parking solutions. So you should be hearing more from that. And I know the council's eager to take that up, but Ethan's got some really good information to share probably next week or two with you as well. So we should be watching for that, and I'm sure the community will be as well. Thank you.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on August 2nd, 2018 and August 9th, 2018 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong and seconded by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending August 15th, 2018 in the amount of $467,522.42 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly and seconded by Councilor Ansel. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Got your usual packet of reports. Is there any updates from your committees? We'll begin with governance strategy and city operations. Councilor Armstrong?
Yes, we met with a group of stakeholders that I and Councilor Insel had invited to attend to sort out any problems associated with feral and roaming cats in the city of Plattsburgh. We were encouraged to appear, at least, to arrive at some consensus regarding at least the nature of the problem. And some solutions were brainstormed, and we will be working on that for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully by the end of that time be ready to draft some new regulatory resolution.
Thank you. City infrastructure, Councilor Ansel?
Very limited report. I believe that the work has been completed on South Peru, and within a couple of weeks, hope to start on Veterans Lane.
What's going on Oak Street?
I think it was just water.
DPW people are here yet. Chief Ritter, do you know?
I believe it was just, I think it was just water valves.
I think so too, there's a very narrow strip of pavement that was dug up and replaced, so
It
my
looks like
guess
they're
is
dealing
water
with
lines.
pipes, yeah.
I think we're lucky we haven't paved Veterans Lane yet, otherwise we would have been picking through some warm asphalt, okay, because there was a broken water main there.
Oh,
Okay.
On Veterans Lane.
I missed that.
Anything else from city infrastructure?
No.
Finance and budget, Councilor Kelly?
Well, we held our monthly meeting earlier this afternoon, and Mr. Marks gave his monthly report. We moved several items from the committee to the general agenda, and that's about it.
And we're still on track to produce a budget for your consideration this month, and to then break up into smaller groups on a consolidated departments basis as well to discuss the budgets.
Okay, excellent.
That process will go very well.
Excellent.
Public safety, Councilor Dowdle?
No updates. Our last meeting was 3 weeks ago, and we will again meet next week with an agenda to be determined.
Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor Armstrong.
No updates.
And MLD, Councilor McFarland?
No updates at this time.
Thank you. Resolved. The reports as listed are hereby ordered received, and any written reports are placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office. Moved by Councilor Armstrong and second by Councilor Dowdle. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. No correspondences at this time. Please continue.
Resolved that the bills ordered by the Common Council for the week ending August 17th, 2018 in the amount of $477,752.14 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly and second by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This is the opportunity for anybody in the public who'd like to come address the council on items on the agenda tonight. There will be another another opportunity to speak with the council at the end of the meeting as well. Seeing none, let's continue, please. We have motion. Is there a motion to remove item 7A from the
I
table?
think the person's addressing 6.
Yeah, there weren't any. Is there somebody? Did you have somebody who wanted to
Oh,
come speak? Yeah. Anybody change their mind? You got one more chance at it. Was there a motion to remove item 7A?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Ansel. All in favor, or roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ansel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves Plattsburgh High School to have its annual homecoming parade on Saturday, October 13th, 2018 at 12 p.m. The parade route will begin at Stafford Middle School on Broad Street, continue up Ruger Street, then down Adirondack Lane onto Clifford Drive, and finally down Angel Drive, concluding at the entrance of Plattsburgh High School. There will be no cost for police since streets are not closed, and they should be able to handle the event with regularly scheduled officers and no cost for public works.
Moved by Councilor Ansel, and second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the motion, just to, at the end, include a sentence that the school will provide adult marshals to walk on each side of the parade for safety purposes.
That's acceptable to Councilor Kelly? Sure. Any further discussion?
On the amendment or the,
Amendment.
seems rather excessive. I mean, she said she would try to.
But I still think that we need to at least have it. For the past 2 years or
Yeah.
a year or so, we've had
We're
parents
making a
complain
formal
about it.
request to them to
Yeah.
ensure that they step up their safety practices.
I do think the success of safety is year to year, because it's a different crowd. You might have safety-conscious
Okay.
participants one year and not safety
So
participants.
this would be trying to establish a precedent.
Yes,
that's in
because
place.
because there's been no incidents before, doesn't mean there can't be with a different group of individuals who may not be as contained. All right.
Should we add that these monitors are dispersed throughout the borders of the parade, or? is
I just
that
said
too
to
much?
walk on each side of the parade.
Yeah.
I
How
don't
many? Okay, all right. I think they get the idea.
I don't want to run the parade. Let them.
That's true. That's true.
It's their parade.
That's their parade. Let's not.
All right,
well,
I
let's
don't want
not-
to rain on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
parade. Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
This is roll call on the amendment.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call on the amendment.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ansel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
No.
And so we'll have another
So the
vote
amendment
for
carried, so now it's a discussion on the motion as
the item itself. Any further discussion on the item itself as amended? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ansel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves that the Common Council will publish a presentation and survey to gauge community interest for a ban on plastic straws, swizzle sticks, and cocktail picks.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion?
Hi.
How long is the survey going to be available?
Got a copy of it.
How long will it be on
Be
the
available.
website?
Oh, be available?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
hasn't been decided, but that's a very good
That is an
question.
important question. Well, I mean, and earlier, you, Counselor Kelly, had wondered about the extent of participation, and I know that there'll be an announcement on it front and center as you go to the website, but I hope we get a lot of press coverage that encourages people, but I'm wondering if maybe we can also make some mention of it on Facebook page, and I don't know, I guess some of us could even go around and encourage people to do it.
And there will be measures so that you're allowed to take the survey just once and not repeat.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure how that functions. Do you know how that goes
Or
with
put
the
a
survey?
PDF on the website, there's no control of that.
There's no control of that. That's true. I mean, you know, how do you
If you wanted to
regulate your
control-
sample
Right.
so that, yeah, people can't vote for it lots and lots of times?
I think those surveys can be set so that the same computer can't do it twice.
But again, we're
That's
only
how they
upload a PDF. If if you want to do a Survey Monkey, that's a whole different thing. You would have to do a Survey Monkey. You couldn't
Oh.
Survey Monkey.
Okay. Oh, I thought,
Why are you asking me
I
to do
understood
that?
that the Survey Monkey was going to be the means by
I
which
can
we
do
did
that.
it.
I don't know.
I,
how to do
I
that.
volunteer to do that.
Okay,
Then I can put the link on the website
okay.
The link,
That'd be good.
yeah.
of your survey.
So then
So
that,
Survey
that
Monkey
puts
would
in
limit
those
the number-
controls.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
but you
no
could
way
have
you can keep a
multiple-
person going,
Different computer.
if, you know, unless they have a username and login, but.
But, you know, I mean, perhaps it's time to talk about how this information will be used. I think that we need to know the extent of the support for this kind of an idea. And from my point of view, as someone who's an advocate for doing it, if there's little support, it would be mine and other people's jobs to try to develop some kind of public relations to increase the level of support, you know, before we actually tried to do something like that. And I mentioned that with Seattle, Washington, the council as a whole had kind of a green agenda that it established and was working on over a period of time. And this item was planned for a year in advance or more, I believe. And so the amount of public relations that was able to be conducted was, I think, adequate to bring everybody on board. Then they identified the date for the ban and gave business owners plenty of time to decrease their, you know, get rid of their old inventory and go get the approved products for their businesses. So there'll be a lot of planning involved, and but specifically with regard to your question, I just need some suggestions. I don't know. What do you think? You're an academic. What do you think? A month? 2
Actually,
weeks?
I was thinking a month.
Okay.
Until the end of September.
Sure. All right.
Okay.
So do we need to include that in the
September.
resolution? Okay.
Can I ask, this is a ban on the sale or a ban on the use?
Oh, just a ban on the use in food vending.
Food establishment.
Okay, so to gauge community interest, we're asking all the residents of the community, but it would apply to retail.
Retail consumption of food products, so, you know, your restaurants, your cafeterias, your, yeah, I'm.
So it wouldn't
wondering-
affect like people at the beach or people come to the beach
Well-
using
Oh, yeah.
juice
that's something to
boxes and
think
things
of.
like that.
I hadn't thought of that. Well, do you want to, okay, what's the disposition of the
No, I'm
council?
just.
Okay. Do you think that's a good thing? Are you encouraging me to include that, or what?
No.
No.
Okay, all right, so there's that. I think what we're looking for is a starting point. I think the objective is to reduce plastic garbage, pollution, that's the way I look at it. And this seems like a manageable step to take. And the fact that other municipalities and companies are engaging in such, you know, bans, basically, is, I think, a good momentum to build upon as a municipality. Now, will we go beyond that? If you saw at the end of the survey, I thought it was a good idea to, you know, just kind of take a poll and see if the community is in support of other kinds of measures to create a sustainable environment. So maybe that will help us form our further objectives.
I'll ask, I know, Mike, some years ago, when I was an audience member, you had brought forth the styrofoam ban.
Yes.
Was there a population factor to that?
That
you needed
was the city, the departments in the city.
Oh, okay.
Just
the
city
cities.
operations that.
Okay.
Oh.
So
I think
this
that passed, I remember.
Okay.
All right, I'm not even sure it was ever voted on, but Mayor Kasperzak liked the idea, so he did it.
Do you know of any other municipalities in the U.S. that ban styrofoam?
The county of Albany in New York has just instituted a ban on styrofoam in establishments that are licensed by the county health department.
I
So,
think the kicker was the word styrofoam. Styro
really?
was kind of, you can use foam, but it was styrofoam. It's like, wait, is it a tissue or a Kleenex? Is it a Skidoo or a snowmobile? And styrofoam, I
It's a
think,
brand name.
indicates-
yes,
Oh, that's
polystyrene foam
Yes,
is
Polystyrene.
it
the
gets-
generic
it gets-
name for
yeah.
it.
I would just point out a little human interest. I was at a local retailer a couple days ago, and a shopper in front of me had a cart full of plastic straws, a cart full. She put them up on the counter.
Yeah.
And the clerk said, "Oh, art projects?" She goes, "No, you won't be able to buy these."
Well, I do want to bring up though.
So it's out there.
Yeah, okay. I do want to bring up the concern that I heard when I was speaking to someone, I believe it was actually Joe Lotemplio, who had been contacted by Robert Poland, who you know is the executive director at the Center for Independence. And there needs to be a provision made for these kinds of establishment if we draft a resolution to ban straws, that those be provided to those people who are in need of them, who cannot otherwise consume their beverages without them. So we'd have to think about what kind of product would satisfy that need.
All we're voting on tonight is
The survey.
the survey and some educational links on the website. Okay. Presentation.
Yeah, and on the survey, the participant has the option not to read the information, so I felt like I was trying to address your concern.
No, that,
Yeah.
All right.
Someone sent us a link for.
Yes.
It showed problems birds are having with plastic on Lord Howe Island.
Yes, it's kind of an ocean. The fishermen are leaving behind
Yeah.
so much plastic, as that was the concern they had.
Yeah.
Aquatic marine life.
Well, I don't want to take up too much
Right.
of the council's time in discussing this issue because we wouldn't want it to distract from the more important business that we have to do. That's a little side comment
All right.
in case you read a recent editorial. But no, I don't believe that. I don't believe this is a distraction. I think it's good work, but I think we've said enough.
Okay. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the mayor is hereby authorized to sign the access agreement with NYSIP with respect to the city of Plattsburgh's property located on Green Street, adjacent to the Saranac River.
Moved by Councilor Ansel, second by Councilor McFarland. Discussion. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Whereas the city of Plattsburgh imposed a moratorium on cryptocurrency mining operations, and whereas the city of Plattsburgh has developed.
Motion to waive a
proposed
reading and
local law-
move to resolution.
Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Armstrong. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion on the item? Councilor Dowdle?
For the sake of those who will watch this later, could we have just a brief, Mayor, description of this? Because this is a hot topic right now about the city. The bottom line is people are worried about their electric rates that will be influenced by cryptocurrency, mining operations, Bitcoin. I've received probably the most concerns, or second most, over cats, about this situation. Can we just establish where we're at and what this is doing?
Sure. You may recall the day you imposed the moratorium was the same day the Public Service Commission actually imposed a new tariff structure, defined a category of user as a high load capacity user, and ensured that if there's ever any overage beyond our quota caused by that category of users amongst themselves will pay for the entire overage. It will no longer be spread amongst all the ratepayers as it had been last winter.
Okay.
So we believe that the ratepayers are protected. The items for your consideration now are items to ensure that the public safety is protected, that there aren't any additional nuisances, and that this industry works in an orderly manner within the other commerce in the city. So there's some zoning implications on it, et cetera, for your consideration. We did speak with the Public Service Commission to have their views on what ought to go into a set of codes like this, and I think that they're in pretty close agreement to what you're considering. They had their experts look at it, and it's consistent with their definitions as well, except they define a high-capacity user based on either the total amount or the sum or the total amount of power they use over a 300 megawatt or kilowatt threshold, and the density, how much or how little space is that power being used within. We're looking at a proposal where it's not an and but an or. You could be put in that category because you're a very high electricity user, or you're also a very, very concentrated electric user as well. But outside of that, there's pretty consistent what we're looking at. Mr. Tracy has his own concerns in that we need to make sure we allocate our quota as effectively and fairly as possible. So, but that's not addressed in this. This is primarily health and safety, nuisance and zoning as our consideration here.
And I would ask Mr. Tracy, when does our contract, what year is it good to? Our hydro?
2025, it's under negotiation right now. The lawyers are just about finished with it, which will then extend it to 2040.
Okay. And that's with Hydro?
So it's with
Hydro Quebec?
No.
No.
That's from the New York Power Authority from their Niagara project.
Okay.
The Niagara Falls.
Okay.
I was surprised and interested to learn that, as you know, we're in a municipal compact, but we're by far and away the largest energy user in that municipal compact. I think you're saying that the next largest community uses less than half the power.
We have the largest amount of hydro allotted, mainly because when the Niagara project was created in the early 60s, Plattsburgh was one of the first municipalities in line to sign up for it. The next larger user gets 75. We get up almost 105 megawatts a month. The next highest user gets 75. The next after that gets 50. There's a bunch of them in 30, and the rest of them they're down in the tens and smaller.
So the bulk of them are in the 10s or 20s. For instance, Rouse's Point is kind of in that area. So why that's important for us strategically is that if we want to attract industry that wants 10 or 20 megawatts of power, we want to make sure they come here. We can develop the capacity for that, and we want to manage that resource carefully. But most of the other entities that have cheap power, they don't have that spare capacity at all. That would completely overwhelm most communities in the state. So Plattsburgh is in a really, really unique position, and that's why we so carefully try to guard this, and why this moratorium is so important. We recognize the importance of this resource in our community from a safety and health perspective, but also from an economic perspective as well.
And just let me add that the Governance and Operations Committee will be working with the draft that was submitted and working with the corporate counsel and the mayor to have something ready for your consideration so that we can announce a public hearing. I believe we all had the opportunity to make comments about the first draft that we saw, and we'll try to expedite that.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, so just to make sure you understand, this is not actually taking away the moratorium, or it's just one additional step towards developing a local law. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Whereas the city of Plattsburgh has developed a proposed local law to address commercial cryptocurrency mining operations, and whereas pursuant to GML 239M, the Common Council has determined that the proposed action requires a referral to the Clinton County Planning Department, now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council authorizes the submission of a GML 239M referral to the Clinton County Planning Department for this proposed local law.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Dowdell. Any further discussion? And ditto for this.
Yes. We're just getting closer.
Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdell?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common
Motion to
Council
waive a reading and move
Committee-
to resolution?
Moved by Councilor McFarland, second by Councilor Ensel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? On the item itself, discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdell?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves all state construction to close Park Avenue between Olivetti Place and Sanborn Avenue on September 6, 2018, between 7 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. to accommodate the delivery of an HTHW generator to the central plant for SUNY Plattsburgh.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Ensel. Discussion? What does HTHW stand for?
I don't, high temperature hot water. Oh, yeah. I almost didn't know, I had to think for a
Yeah,
second.
it came to you.
I have so many letters in my head, so I didn't know.
Well, we know what SUNY stands for.
Yes.
And boy, it'll be.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdell?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
No trouble requests at this time. Are there any resolutions for initial consideration? Any new business or councilor reports?
I do have a question. New business on old business. The school year is about to start. Where are we at with the Webb Island footbridge?
Good question.
You know, we've made all of our recommendations for all the contract language. It's been submitted. It's within the school attorney at this point, and I think our sense is we're prepared to move as quickly as they need be.
And how long have they had that information?
More than a month, huh?
Oh,
Draft was sent to me about a month ago. We spent a couple weeks to revise it. I sent it back to them 10 days, week and a half ago.
okay. Was there, I don't recall, was it our intent to have the bridge up and open by the start of the school year?
If we want to get into real explicit detail, I would suggest an executive because it's not signed.
Mhm.
But in general, the contract term was or the contract itself is contingent upon state funding.
Okay,
So
okay.
I would not say it was expected to do
Don't we
that.
have
Okay.
a tacit agreement about that funding?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be funneled primarily through the school district, so they're
Yes.
really in control of this
Okay.
process, and we're willing to participate as need be.
Thank you.
Any other questions or new business? Seeing none, this is another opportunity for public comment on any issues of mutual concern. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor McFarland and second by Councilor Armstrong. Roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdell?
Yes.
Counselor Ensel?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, see you later. Sorry I arrived late, I was trying to make it back, there was a big accident on fire trucks. We have 5 emergency service vehicles. Bender, but
Yeah, I just
blocked up for
misunderstood
like
what you
half
were
a
doing.
mile.
Got some just
Okay.
edit.
Did you look for me or her?
There may be some way we can put it in draft and we can look at it.
All right.
before we-
Yeah, I sent you the document, and I just found the changes I wanted to make. So I can make the changes, and then we can talk about how to do the survey.